I woke up in the middle of the night and I just couldn't do it again. My wife and I had struggled for years with just our marriage, and I couldn't do it again. Went and got the shotgun. It was under the bed on the second floor, and I went to the garage, and there was a tarp laying on the floor, and I laid on the floor, and I just tried to figure out how to do it. And then finally I put the gun down, and I prayed. I did what I do many times even though I don't feel like going to work. I got off the floor, I went in the house, I showered, and I went to work. Nobody knew a thing. I played sports in high school and college. You just learned the term that we use, you just learned to suck it up. And that's how I went through my life. My wife had wanted me on medication for a long time. She said I was depressed, and I was not going to take medication. You just kept it inside and you just pushed it down and you got through it. I've got some friends, and they knew how much I was hurting. And I was visiting with these friends of mine, and they said, would you be willing to talk to somebody? And I said, sure. 8:30 was the time. I sat in the Target parking lot in Ames, and I called Lindsay.
I always tell people, and I always have to even remind myself, I'm an experiencer, I'm not an expert. And so where I'd love to see my role is telling people my story. How did I stay here for 2 separate stays for 37 total days? How did I latch on to the importance of the recovery pieces and really buying in and accepting my illness?
You know, she told me her story. I told her what I was going through. I told her about the many notes that I'd written. I said, I actually got one sitting in the seat right next to me. And she said,
Jeff, I need you to do me a favor, and I just want you to get in the car. I just want you to drive. And I want you to drive down Duff Avenue, and I'll stay on the phone with you if you want me to, but I just want you to get to Mary Greeley, and I want you to go in there and tell them that you need help.
Thought about it, drove up Duff Avenue, circled the parking lot once, and then circled it again and pulled in and parked, and went in, and one of the ladies at the desk, I just said, I think I need to talk to somebody.
I probably heard from Jeff 3 to 4 more times via text, just updating me, hey, I'm in the emergency room now, hey, I'm up on, I made it to the 6th floor where the behavioral health unit is.
I was texting Lindsay during all this time, a woman I didn't even know. I didn't know this woman, but she cared. I could just tell, you could tell that she cared and had been through it herself. I think that's what made me be okay with going to the hospital. But I tell you, the people at Mary Greeley, that 6th floor, they weren't even the nurses that were in charge of me, and everybody cared about everybody. I mean, the Sunday after I got there, they were scrambling to try to find a laptop for me so I could watch church. I mean, they didn't have to do that. You can't teach people to care. You're gonna care or you don't. You can fake it for a while. There's nobody up on that floor that's faking it. You can just tell, I was there 5 days. And as badly as I wanted to get out of there after the first day, on day 5 when Dr. Strassel told me I was leaving, I just didn't want to leave because I didn't want to come home to this empty house. The divorce was filed and I fell apart again. I sat in my car, I went to sleep, and it was over 3.5 hours later I woke up. I've talked to guys, buddies of mine that are car guys, and there's nothing logical about why I'm still here. 3.5 hours is more than enough time in a garage that doesn't have any windows, doesn't have any roof vents. It's pretty sealed up. So why didn't it work? 3 days after that, I get a call from a friend of mine whose daughter just tried to take her life. I called him to see how she was doing, and he said, actually, I'm in the hospital with her right now. They're gonna send her to a hospital in Sioux City. And I said, could I talk to her? The next day, her dad called me and he said, what did you say to her? And I said, just asked her if she was scared. And he said, I can't talk to her. I don't know what to say to her. And he said, you said something to her that made her okay with going to the hospital. So I knew what she felt like. And that, I think, made a difference, just like it made a difference with Lindsay. I knew she'd been there, so I trusted her. I didn't know her, but I trusted her. And so she had a good experience at the hospital. I get a phone call one night, it was her dad's number, and I said, I said, how's Gabby doing? And she answered the phone. She said, it's me, Gabby. I'm doing great. I'm going home right now. After talking to Gabby that night, I knew what I wanted to do. I want to help kids. And then it was 3 days later, I had my appointment with Dr. Stotts. She told me about NAMI. I've been certified now. I've given one presentation to the Iowa State University Foundation. There are a lot of guys that probably struggle, but nobody wants to talk about it. So if maybe talking about this will get someone else to talk about it, instead of taking drastic steps like I tried to do, then this is all worth it. You know, going back to the Target parking lot, one of the words that she told me I had to learn, what she had to learn was the word surrender. And we just got to be willing to surrender and accept help.
Talking to people and sharing my journey has helped my own. You know, my transparency has helped essentially my recovery, because I remember there were early on times where I didn't want to surrender to the illness. I didn't want to take the medication. I didn't want to run around town and everyone to find out that Lindsay has something wrong with her. And what I found in really recent years is there's everything right with me now that I can just accept and live and sort of be who I am in this space. There's power and there's connection and there's beauty behind people being able to live in their true selves. I think, you know, 4.5 years ago, I walked out of this hospital and had no clue what telling people would do. To think of what it's done now it does mean a lot to me, and that's kind of the only reason I started talking about it.
It's nice to give back. Thanksgiving morning, I got up and baked some cookies. I took them down to them and I said, would you guys, I just thought, you know, you guys are working on Thanksgiving. I thought you'd like some cookies. I said, I've tried them. They're edible. They just don't look like the picture that I was on the box. And it was at that point I went and bought a bunch of cookie sheets and additional stuff. I started out by just taking it to the emergency department in the 6th floor. And about every 2 weeks or so, or maybe even more frequent than that. So yeah, I love baking, and it's fun to see people smile when you walk in with something that they didn't plan on. I never thought I could ever get over what I went through. It was not even possible. I had people telling me that time will heal, but I don't think it was just the time. I think it was talking to the therapist. It was meeting with Dr. Stotts. It was adjusting my medication. I'm not scared of people knowing. And I've set up in front of a group of people of 150 more, and I told them what I was on. And that's a complete reverse from what I was ever gonna do.